Hi everyone, so welcome to another academic video. This week I thought we'd face the difficult subject of what do you do if you get rejected after going to an academic interview. Hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Caroline. I'm a UK-based physics lecturer. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. It's amazing to see in the comments that people have been applying for jobs, getting interviews, in some cases getting their dream job. But alongside with that, sometimes you're going to go for an interview and maybe it won't go the way that you're hoping or the way that you're expecting, and you may get rejected for that position. And I think as a human, as somebody who's gone through that interview process, if you're invested in that position and you really want that job, and academic interviews can be tough, the preparation process is long, the application process is long. By the time you've gone through all of those stages and you're that close to getting the job, and then not to get it right at the very end can feel really frustrating, disheartening. It can just be really tricky. So I thought in this video we could talk a little bit about what to do if you've had an academic rejection at interview and what do you do next. I think the first thing to bear in mind if you've been to an interview, let's say it's for a lectureship or a research position at a university and you didn't get it, the first thing is, however gutted or disheartened you're feeling, remind yourself how good it was to actually get to the interview stage. It can be incredibly competitive when you're putting in your CV, putting in your application. Even getting to the interview stage is a huge achievement. So although you may not feel like it, try to somewhere remind yourself that actually being present in the interview and attending the interview process was, a massive step and a recognition that, the employer felt you had a good number of skills aligned to their position. The other thing I think to bear in mind is that sometimes when you get rejected from an academic post, it's not the university saying, never, you can never come and work at this university. It's just saying that for this particular role, at this particular time, you're not quite the right fit. And that doesn't have to be, for you as the individual, the end of the dialogue, the end of the conversation with that specific university. So firstly, with all these job rejections, if you do get rejected from a position, it's always worthwhile asking for feedback. It is going to vary. Some universities will give amazing feedback. Some universities might give short feedback. Some universities might say that actually up front, due to the number of candidates, they're not giving particularly big feedback. But it's always worth asking, because if you have that insight into what they were looking for, you can then really evaluate your skill set to see, okay, which things did I have that ticked the job requirements for them, and which were the things that were slightly missing the mark. And I think as you step away from that interview, one of the real key things is when you're feeling, calm and maybe slightly less frustrated or upset or angry about it all, it's that evaluation of your skill set and the job requirements that will help you at least a little bit piece together what you can do next time round to improve your chances. Quite often in an interview you get a feel of what's going well and what's going maybe not so well. So maybe you found the teaching questions really good, but not so the research questions. Or maybe you had loads of research experience, but you couldn't demonstrate really any leadership qualities. So, it's difficult to do this when we're looking critically at ourselves, but sometimes it's worthwhile getting your CV and actually going through, maybe using a colour-coded system, getting some highlighter pens out and highlighting on your CV in green the bits that you think came across well in the interview, that you were able to talk comfortably about, that you had good question answers to. And then maybe get like a pink highlighter pen or something and maybe mark out the areas that you felt you were lacking, either in the depth of the answer, the breadth of the answer you were able to give, or just able to demonstrate that particular skill set to the future employer. It's really hard to do, that is quite self-aware to put yourself through this. It's the kind of thing you probably want to do quite quickly after the interview process, after the interview rejection, which is probably when you feel the least like sitting there and looking at your own CV. But as I said, it can really help identify for you areas where you can go and work on to improve your chances for next time. And that leads me on to the next kind of point, is when you're thinking about next time, it can be really good again to consider, okay, do you want to apply for the same kind of role but a different university? If you applied for one particular type of lectureship at one university in one kind of research area, are you looking for a similar research area position, lectureship at another university? Are you looking maybe to slightly broaden or change your research area? Could you shift your research focus? Would that make your research slightly, have broader appeal, or make you more likely to get funded, which might be of more appeal to universities? Or actually, are you maybe considering a bit more of a dynamic change, rather than maybe reapplying for the same kind of role? Is now the time to apply for a different kind of role? So if you applied for a lectureship, is now the time to go, well, actually, it was the teaching questions that I did really, really well on. Maybe my skill set is actually looking at teaching fellowships and that route in academia. And of course, vice versa, if you did really well, you feel at the research questions, maybe actually you're best suited to a research fellowship position. So there is opportunity here to change or alter your kind of career path, your career direction, by considering what kind of jobs you want to apply for going forward. And one of my friends said you can only apply for the opportunities that are out there. So yes, sometimes people say, you make your own luck and create your own opportunities, but in academia, typically for lectureships, teaching fellowships, research fellowships, you are applying against a known job vacancy. And it could be that at this particular year, in this particular location where you are, there's just not many opportunities in your research area. And then you get the really challenging conversations with yourself of going, okay, do I want to stay trying to get into academia? Or maybe do I want to look into, say, doing industry or some kind of self-startup opportunity, but keep the door open to academia through continuing to do some kind of outreach, or maybe some kind of teaching within a local college, or maybe some kind of publications and research within that particular area that you're working for a company. These are big decisions, and I'm not suggesting that after your first interview that you go to, and if it doesn't go to plan, the first rejection you get, you should immediately rip everything up and go, that's it, I'm changing direction, this doesn't work for me. This is more if you've been going to interview after interview after interview. That's the point when you start to think, okay, should I change my direction? Should I broaden myself at universities to different job roles, different positions? Should I try to get more experience in a particular area? Should I continue in the same academic sector, or is it actually worth broadening to industry for a part of my time with a view then to return back to academia? Those conversations typically will come after a prolonged period of effort to get into a university. Because at the end of the day, it is just tricky. It is just difficult. You may have friends who were very lucky, or just happen to have the right skill set and the right mix of attributes that a university was looking for. They went to their interview and they got in straight away and they landed their dream lectureship. And then you may have friends and colleagues who you think are amazing, with brilliant publications and really good research track records, who are just not quite getting the lectureship opportunities for any number of reasons. It's very easy as somebody looking, in on somebody else's situation to say, oh, don't get disheartened, oh, keep trying. And the thing is, it is tricky to keep trying. It's really hard, the amount of time, effort and investment you put in to that application process and going to those interviews. So do remember, if you are applying and reaching an interview stage, that is an achievement in itself. It really, really is. And however uncomfortable it might be, if you can face that kind of evaluation of your skills and that kind of critical look at yourself at how the situation went in the interview quite soon after the interview process, that can then really help you as you decide your next steps and where your career is going to take you next. But it's hard, it is hard. There are amazing lectureships out there, amazing teaching fellow positions, amazing research fellow positions. The opportunities within academia are great. The chance to pursue your own lines of scientific, well, I say scientific because I'm a scientist, the chance to pursue your own research is an amazing privilege. So if you are somebody trying hard to find that academic position, the end result can sometimes be well worth the difficult journey to get you to your end goal, your end career job. But let me know in the comments, what's your one piece of advice for coping with interview rejection? Note I didn't say interview failure, because failure and rejection I think have different meanings, and you can have a very successful interview and still unfortunately get rejected from the position. Not fail the interview if you like, you can still be really good in the interview, just get pipped at the post. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what is your top tip? As always, I do love reading the comments, so do keep them coming in. It looks like the live Q&A session might be a thing. Most people who voted seem to be in favour of it, so I might look to do it in September as a kind of new semester back to university Q&A session. But in the meantime, I'll be here next Monday with another academic video, so stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.